Hello. Where's my music? Alright. Hi, everybody. Ooh, that's right. Gotta save that for later. Possible geek stuff to buy. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's Wednesday's going well. Well, it looks like we're in lockdown number 2. And concentrating too hard on finding music for everyone. So yes, today it'll just be relaxing. Just, you know, it'll be bit of this, bit of that. And there we are. And put that down under. And under. So I'm gonna continue on with Lucario because this drawing is gonna take quite a while. I did do some off stream, but I also then backtracked and said, "Oh no, I didn't like that result." So this is why we save many iterations. And where's my pen? I swear. Okay, that's why. Because I had my audio cable decided to yank it all the way over, and I did not realize that as I was yanking it. There's the pen. Hooray! Alright. Ow! I'm pinching myself. So what I'm going to do, though, when I am actually doing the drawing is I'm just going to leave some music on. I'm going to draw. And I'll try to keep an eye on this all chat because I'm really flustered by it not working. But reminding myself of that, I do want to open up all other channels. So the YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. So open those up so I can see those chat boxes too, because I might have to periodically just take a quick round every in like 5-10 minutes and see what's written, what's said, you know. Otherwise, you know, just come on, join in. If you got something you're drawing, by all means, please, let's talk about it. As you might have already noticed, Kayla is going to be absent today. She is she's taking some time for her. And, you know, that gives me time to just fiddle with these things. And 9 minutes out ago. Okay, those are good. Let's bring up. Make that large. As you might have already noticed, Kayla. Yes. Wow, that's so fuzzy around the edges. It's probably because I neglected to shave my head again. It's this little tennis ball head going on. Gives it this interesting glow. Now, as I was mentioning, I will, as I'm drawing, I'm going to turn off my camera of me. This is just going to make it easier so when I actually do the time lapse later of what I've worked on and what I'm doing, it'll just all flow. And it won't have this weird little head pop up and then disappear, pop up and disappear in the corner. Nor will I have to worry about editing that out because I'm really, since I have my face overlapping my workspace, it'll just make it a bit easier. Yeah, and I gotta stop bumping this table like now. Alright, Facebook is open. Muted. Twitch is open and muted. And alright, so we got them all open. Yeah. It's already been a long day. So let's get into some drawing. So I'll just switch it over. Come on. Drawing screen. So this is where we are. The mask is now done. In a sense. It'll still need to be tweaked. I got the ears and I got the lower jaw of the face, and I'm gonna try to finish up a portion. I'm thinking about everything that's underneath this ear and maybe get into the ear today. I expect this drawing to take a good amount of time, because I'm drawing a texture. I'm not just drawing lines and then coloring in. I'm actually drawing the texture. So if I take this away, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. The lines, several lines. And even this, I'm like, I need to go back through and fill in and smooth out some of the movement of which direction the hair is moving. Like strongly across this brow. So there's quite a bit of like adjustments I'll work on as I move along. And I like this little piece. I don't know how many people can see it. Let's see if I can highlight it real quick. Yep. But there's right here, right underneath that, there's this little looking like scar, and it's like I'm trying to hide it. We'll see how well I do. But I am debating, because this is also the color blue I would use on our next layer here, and that would be used for this. So it's a neutral blue that's kind of one not in the lightest part, not in the darkest portions, or at least somewhere in between it. And that's what I was trying to sample, because I'm going to do 2 passes on this. This might not be the best choice, but this is the choice I've made, and it's going to add a little bit extra work. But it's usually my method of madness. Is make the flat color, and then I'm going to go back over and, like, even on this the black hair, I will take lighter gray points to design the highlights where light is hitting it a little bit more, and I'm going to take even more of a darker approach and probably even go underneath it with another layer to make the shadow portions and really just blend that outward so it's really dark and deep. We're seeing, because it's still experimental in that case for my own sake, but I'm trying to see if I can simplify it, but draw the texture and then see if I can do minor adjustments underneath to kind of smooth some of the transitions out. But it's part of the fun of drawing anyways. Is like just play around, experiment, see what you do. At the same time, it's like I've looked at others and it's like I agree. Let's see if I can make something else more complicated for me. No, it's just a matter of how this drawing wants to be done. It's the same with drawing. Same thing with writing. When you write, you just write how that story wants to be told. It's not always going to be the same. Like, you're not going to reiterate the next time. It's like, no, you work at that story, you work on that piece, and you draw how it feels it wants to be. And then you get through that point and you go, well, these are a few points I probably won't touch on again because it didn't work out as well, but you're allowed to make those mistakes. We're all human after all. Even I am. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to turn off this camera so you won't see my lovely face while I draw. And this is just going to help me, later on when I actually take this and go, hey, I'm going to do time lapse. So you'll see all this lovely junk around it that I'll see you. You're my boo. Yeah, you won't get to see lovely moments like that where I get to nuzzle with my drawing. Yep. Alright. Anyways, enough of that. But you will still be able to hear me. I'm not going to deny you of that. My lovely voice. And I need to make sure that all chat is open. Coffee, more coffee, always more coffee, lovely coffee. Do. There, the all chat will be my means. I doubt it will actually tell me, but we will see. And like I said, in the background I still at least have... I can filter through chats every so often. Here we go. Alright, some more drawing today. So again, I'm just drawing hair texture, and I have a layer. Let's start with it over the top. So I'm going to start from here. And I'm going to turn that off so I can see what I'm doing, but It's just a transition of hair. Actually, I do not like having... Yeah. I know. Bob Ross. It's not a mistake. It can be. In this case, if I push too hard, that's by accident, by far, because I'm trying to be very light and build layer upon layer of hair. Which actually, you know what? We're gonna try this. I'm allowed to push a little bit harder because now that I have the opacity down. This technically will help out and allow me to push just a tad bit harder, so don't have to be incredibly light, and it'll automatically work in my favor, as in, look at this, I'm already able to build upon it. We're gonna essentially, I could also drop this down to about maybe 35% and really start small and build upon it. But I'm just trying to build the initial edge. And I do have my layer over the top of this one. And you know what, actually before I even forget too much. Yeah, I know I'm not too thrilled that I didn't do this before, but I like to make sure I do this often. Alright. And then we shall see. Okay. There we go. Onward and upward. Again, this is just building the initial layer where the black and blue hair kind of meet up and start shifting between each other. So I do want to make sure I have some hairs inside of the black, just a little bit, just because, you know, it's not a perfect transition, obviously. And then I'm trying to go with the direction that the black hair decided to go as it went upward. And there we go. Alright, so... And I do have to keep in mind that I have hair that comes back around the back of the head. Now I'm trying to, again, line up as well as, because technically this goes backward. So from the edge of the black hair back towards the back of the head, technically to wrap around. And as you can see, this is also another means of me kind of smoothing out my edge where the black hair is that I made a little rough, because this is just the black hair bleeding into that. So it's like this edge that I'm making between the two of them needs to be, no, it doesn't necessarily need to be. I feel it would be best, different wording, better way of going, because, you know, you can take this any which way you want. But this is just drawing the texture, thinking about how hair overlaps itself, and then building those layers upward, starting from a certain point and just continuing up. It just... Okay, I'm hoping my video didn't just blip on me, but we'll see. So as you can see, I'm just building this edge. And then we'll work at the next layer. So if you actually, it's probably a good way of thinking of like how crochet or knitting works. I think it's more crochet. So you work a line across, and then you move on to the next line above it, and you keep doing it. Not necessarily typewriter style, but you know, you make one pass, then make the next. And technically, I could build from this corner and outward if I want. I'm trying to support my arm up and off my desk here, just to because this is a lot of wrist action, to be honest. I'm trying to get it a little bit more from my elbow instead of the wrist, but at the same time I'm trying to make smaller strokes with my brush. So I want to mimic short hair enough. Not really long hair. Building, building, building. The time lapse is going to look pretty cool because then it'll make a lot of sense of how this all looks. So then there we go, another layer. Boom, boom, boom. You can see it faintly. It's gonna be over time. This is one of the reasons why this particular drawing, it takes quite a while. And if I move on to even doing the background, this will take quite a while too, because then I have different textures. I have tree textures, I have grass, grass and hair relatively the same, but you know, there's some variation to that one, especially because you'll have more lighting hitting across the grass that shimmers and shines, so you get more harsh like whites, as it will reflect more of the light off of its surface. Whereas for hair, kind of, it depends. If Lucario's looking rather sweaty and he has beads of sweat, then it's quite possible that his hair will be a little bit shinier, which would reflect more light. And that's something to consider, but you know, I don't think Lucario really breaks a sweat during a fight. I think he is, I think they're quite capable in handling the pressure. So I do also have to consider when I get close to the ear, the direction of the hair changes from this way and this way a little bit. You know, not worrying about that right now. Well, you know, this is also another thing. It's like I'm figuring out things that I don't like, I do like, and next time I draw hair, I'll take those into consideration. So again, I strongly encourage you, don't ever feel like you know to just like, oh, I'll never do that. It's like, well, you'll never do it if you never start, because one, you have to start seeing what doesn't look right in order to actually fix it. So if you allow yourself a mistake, you can do quite a bit more. That's how we grow, really. You know, make small mistakes. We learn from them, make bigger mistakes, still learn from them. But, you know, we are quite resilient. If we just believe that we'll learn and we'll keep adapting. Oh, what is the sound effects that are going through on my phone? Is it telling me something? Thank you, Prime, for that. That's not what I care about. I should have known. So as you can see, with the opacity changing, I'm getting the layers I want. And also, you know, as for hair, it's not perfect. It doesn't always mat itself in that same direction. So eventually I'm going to shift it, and I'm going to start drawing a little bit different. Like I will do like this. In this case, now I have hair that's going to cut across a little bit more. Still roughly the same direction, but it's going to slightly move a different direction because of how I am aligning myself with my canvas. Alright, that's one layer, and then going over again. So I am building a little bit longer strands of hair, and then I want to go in and adjust, but I'm trying to also build shape as I'm doing this, because the direction of which this hair is going also tells the tells the underlying story of the facial structure. And given that, it gives quite a bit of more to the detail. And it kind of makes the creature look actually, you know, correct. Like it belongs. So again, this is my rendition of Lucario. One of my favorite Pokemon. I really do like fighting and psychic and ghost types. Those are the three I ideally go for. But I have to say my list of fighting is very, very small. Lucario is definitely one of them. Actually, I'm almost apt to say it's probably more steel instead of actually fighting, because Metagross is one of my favorites too. He's psychic steel. Dusk Noir is another good one, and he's tanky. Very, very tanky. And he's a ghost type, so it's also pretty nice when you can negate a whole area of menu techniques and such. Being ghost, I believe it's normal. Normal doesn't touch him. So as you can see, the lighter section is hinting, but as I get darker, that's where it's really telling the story of, oh, this is the direction of that particular hair. Okay. So as you can see, I'm gonna have some underlying hair that's going a bit weird from where the ears are, but the hair technically on the ears goes towards it and then upward and goes away from the face. I need to make sure. Okay. It looks pretty nice on the screen that I'm looking at, so. Okay. And this is very much one of those pieces where you really get to work out your arm. Because I'm repeating a method, and I'm propping my arm in such a way where I can help keep from fatigue. Because this is a long process. Heck, I might actually force myself to take a break after about an hour, just for the simple fact of I will need a moment to recover. Let the twitch muscles, you know, relax. Alright, so we're gonna do this. Oh, somebody's demanding. That's not what I wanted. Oi. That's not the brush. Where's my brush? Yeah, where is my brush? Oi. Wow, I'm really failing to see what... Did it really shift? I swore it was off to the side here. Ah! Nope, that's the brush. Oh my gosh. Again, remind myself. Basic 6. That's what I'm looking for. Sorry. Little mess up there. I have to remember to edit that part out. Alright, so we actually have quite a bit of the ear starting with it right here. Because it looks like I'm trying to see... I want to say like the ear has a whole portion right there. I believe I'd be mostly right. I still think there's a little bit more to wrap up behind the ear before it starts going upward. So that's the portion I'm trying to get to. which then leads into this. Now, on this layer, I am actually going to go in. I'm going to remove the black, because I do not need it. It'll be used. I'll most likely use it later when I'm actually doing the highlights I want to do. But until then, and as you can see, this is building blocks. I was doing the drawing one way, and I said no, let's change it. I'll leave. Okay, and we're gonna lock that layer so I don't mess with it. But we're back to the other. So in order to build this texture of Lucario's short hair, short-ish hair, kind of using what I know about dog hair, really, and how many times I've drawn dog hair, to really utilize and make Lucario, because Lucario is very, very close to a dog, if not actually defined as a dog in many ways. This is the method of which, and I like this illustration style that I utilize. It's also because it looks very much like it's like a cross between realistic but then a children's book. So I remember a long time ago, a lot of the illustrations, this very similar kind of effect. Just reminiscing of the children's books and everything that kind of got me interested in drawing and illustrations. And I really fell in love with animation when I played video games with my brother, so that was like the earliest days of like, yeah, I really love to work on that. Make that my career. But you know, it's never too late to start something or change paths. Practically what I'm doing. That's what I know about art, and what I know about the real world, and I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed a lot of my 3D modeling courses and everything. Taught me quite a bit. I mean, I was already pretty darn smart, and I did really well in those courses, of course. That being the fact that spatial skills are probably one of my stronger suits. And my whole family is really just creative and artsy. My sister is always drawn. And she loves her dragons, which are always great. And then she works as a writer, so and she's creating her own creatures, which is amazing. So it's a very, very creative family. My brother is went into game design. Does quite a bit in that field, so he's very creative in his own way too. Even though he knows more of the technical side, I'd say. Which is still a great thing, because you need people that are logically smart but creative like he can be. Me on the floater, I guess. I like the physics of things. Like watching the body's motion to the point where it's like you see the weight transfer from leg to leg, the transfer from moment to moment, as even from facial expressions, the amount of anticipation that's built in just a matter of seconds from like going, I completely have this, to a, oh crud, this is more than I thought, or even to the incredibly sad, to the, oh my gosh, you shouldn't have moment. Those, the physics and the elasticity and the transition have always been my have always been my curiosity. I do apologize if I'm like half talking and also trying to decide on direction of hair and trying to keep it all going. This is very much a blue that I like to use often, it seems, because it's usually used in my sketching. And I decided that I'm just gonna build the base color hair. I'm just gonna go with that. And we'll see how this works out, because I've never done it really this way. I usually just all black and white, and then you might just like do a color shift and make sure like, well, this should be a little bit brighter than the other, because this is the, like, down here's the gray, and then this is the actual blue, so therefore I will make the whatever is closer to black or gray or darker colors the darker tone in the black and white, so, which is typical. And I'm trying to vary up the lengths because they're not all short. Some of them are a little bit longer. But, you know, for the most part, they should all be relatively the same length. And as you can see, it is quite a process to build this kind of texture, this kind of hair. Trying not to get myself lazy, because at the same time, like, if I do, then I will have to backtrack, and that's not something I want to do. Put in the time now to do it right, and it'll reward you with a better look. Sometimes your drawing takes 20 minutes. Sometimes your drawing takes a week. It all depends on what you're trying to do. Again, that being the ears section. This will be the tricky part, is getting the ears shape. Because there's a lot finer hairs in some of these transitions that I have to consider, and might even have to zoom in to get them properly done. But quick look. So take a moment to drink some coffee. So with that opacity change, I'm never really allowed to go full dark compared to, you can see the difference. Like, I'll always have a lighter color. What did I do? Yeah. Just by changing the opacity, I'll always have a lighter color. I'll never be completely pitch. I will have to actually utilize going over it again to make it 100%. And one of the best things to think of, like, this is actually also thinking back to 3D modeling software. When you're generating hair, it was always interesting because it always generated it. One of the suggestions was generating it out to transparency, so it'd be a gradient. So it never went to its full length. You always had a little bit portion that was just completely just fell off color wise. But for some odd reason, it allowed the hair to capture at the tips because of how the calculation is inside some of the software and some rendering. It allowed it to capture the tip and make it a really light color if it so chose to be, if it was actually there to have the light hit it. If not, it would just fade away into the rest of the hair and it would just blend itself naturally. So it was very interesting to do that. It was just, and it's technically like when you think about what I'm doing here is I could start a line here and then you can see it just getting darker as I go along. Technically there's still a portion of a line there. It's so faint you don't necessarily see it, but I build upon it. I keep making passes and eventually the variation comes through. And that's what we're seeing as I'm building things. Is that it's not a very heavy line, but many lines that make up this particular short hair. Again, the harder I push, the more color I'll get out of it. And really we want hair's about variation. But there'll be some spots where it's like that's definitely clumped up hair. That's a little bit more. I'm also changing the direction compared to dragging and then pushing outward compared to coming inward with it. And that can give me some variation. So we're gonna also adjust our angle. See, instead of like moving my arm and adjusting what angle I'm doing it at, I can adjust the canvas to do this for me. So I can make a very similar motion and just keep repeating that so I get very similar results all the time. That's all I'm doing with this. And this helps even out some of the direction. Because you're going to have hair that's going to crisscross and move in different directions. It's not all going in the same direction. It's roughly going in the same direction. It's just not. They all take their own path. Oh, thanks. And what was it? Saurajot? Joti? I'm terrible at pronouncing names, so but Sour Yoti. Thank you. If anything, you know, it can be relaxing. I always enjoy watching other artists do their ink work and other things, and it's really just one of those relaxing moments. Just watching something come together progressively and over time. Like I said, I'd eventually, when I do finish this piece, it'll be a time lapse. I'll probably do the time lapse of Lucario's head here, as I'm building up the video for it. But you know, I appreciate you stopping by, enjoying it as I'm making it. And again, I think the head alone is probably going to take a couple days, because I still have yet to get to those ears. I'm still building this portion. And again, Lucario had to be a short hair. So we'll just keep going through it. Trying to make this hair vary in direction. And we'll see if we go around this way even. And now I'm really using a different muscle altogether. This is my dedication to not making things, you know, all the same. If anything, that was actually one of those things that I was very much a stickler about in details. Is altering it enough so it doesn't look like it was man-made or designed to be perfect. It has to have some variation, some means of altering it so it looks natural a little bit, if not completely. Let's move this down a little bit. And if anyone's curious, the music I'm listening to is Techno-X. They are free. For any other streamers too out there. Strongly consider. Very good stuff. Wide variety. And again, they just do it for free. It was one of the great little things I found, so. Non-lyrical music to play in the background. Because if it had lyrics, I'd most likely be singing. I mean, there's still some songs they play with lyrics in it, of course, but... And... Alright, make my rounds, take a look. Alright, there we are. I definitely want to work on that eye. I think it's one of those artist things, like, you move on beyond a certain point, just go, because I gotta focus on the next portion. The eye I'm definitely gonna have to work and fix, because I want to make it cleaner. And that's part of the process. Part of everything. Yay. Textures, 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 textures. You know, if I was doing this on a 3D model, I'd just have to build the texture. With this very similar, but I'd only have to build it. Or, even better, find reference. And then alter it in like Photoshop or GIMP or whichever program, you know. To allow myself to have the differences and variations. But that's case I'm making a very flat image, and I'll later on in the program wrap it around a 3D model. So it works pretty much differently than how you want to draw, but you could do something similar if you're really good at manipulating them. It just depends on the direction of which you want to take things. Ooh. So I'm curious. It's only been a half hour. Oh, goodness. Okay, it's been 45. Dang it. I don't want to speed myself up necessarily, but I kind of want to get past this section of the head, dang. But that's just part of it. it's building everything and make sure it looks like how I would like to see this. So in the end, I'm trying to get rid of some of the layering to really break it up. So you can kind of see where I was building certain portions of it and working my way forward. And you know, that's part of it, is just getting that variation. And just keep building upon it. Alright, let's make another. Kind of feel there's a bit more going on. So yes, I'm using a picture for reference. It's a very low res picture, which is good because then I just use it as a hint towards what it is that I want for shape. So this does also help me understand a little bit of the shape and direction of the skull, which is the key point of when you're drawing this hair, is you're trying to draw it so it wraps around the skull in such a way. Which is why I'm going to start moving some of this hair in a different direction. Instead of going up and over and across, it's actually going to be coming... I forgot my camera's not on. I'm going to be trying to make some of these hairs go this direction, and then this, and then this. This is what I'm trying to work in there, as well as keep this hair kind of going this to this to this over there. So it's like I have different directions that I'm trying to move the hair in, just to give you a little bit more of a hint. But even the ones across the top, I'm trying to pull away from the ears, so I'm going to do more of like this, scoop outward eventually. Those kind of directions. It's just a matter of trying to match up the direction to where I'm going and where my end result should be. Oops, a little too many. So I am trying to shift and get this all going in a particular direction that suits this shape of Lucario's skull. And skin that's underneath all of this. Now, I have a break point that's probably about there, where the ear is, where there's going to be this transition of hair going this direction into this direction. It's very subtle in how I did that, but I have to keep that reference in mind, keep that checking, make sure how close am I getting to where I believe the ear starts. Yeah, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can see quite a bit of the hair from this angle. But I'm going to keep in closer. And we're going to try to make... This is also another means, if you zoom in, I can make smaller hairs with a little bit longer drag. With my pen. So often you do have to make some hairs that are just a little bit more, because hair is going underneath, it's going over the top. When it's going over the top, it's more likely to capture a little bit more of a highlight, where if it's going down below, it's going to be darker because it's adding to the thickness in that particular spot, which is all the reason why I'm building these layers, is that I'm allowing myself to just build in that that overlap, that natural kind of surface that hair has with its variation. But again, it will take a lot to get things moving and working in the directions. And luckily I can go back over even ones that I've gone this way and then make this hair going that way, crossed it, so I have some crisscrossing, as you can see. Again, I don't want some hair going the direction. But the majority should be moving the other way. Do. These are the kind of drawings I like to see as a time lapse, because it's very hard to see the change over the course of like the hour. But if you can see an hour's worth of time smashed down into a minute, it's like, ooh, suddenly like, oh wow, that's really, that's everything being built. I think that's another reason why I like watching artists' progressions, that seeing it and like you look away for a brief moment, because I usually am watching stuff while I'm also working myself. Never hurts to keep watching, keep learning. Writers do the same thing. World leaders are usually ones that like to read quite a bit. There's always a great deal of knowledge to be gained. So if you're good at multitasking and grasping both aspects very well, even though it's usually not recommended, then I strongly suggest you utilize that skill, because not too many people can do it. I'm not necessarily one of them. Like I said, I usually watch and then I look at it, watch them closely, and you can see they just by passage of time seeing the transition. So hopping on back and taking a look at how much further everything is also fun. Oh my gosh. There's a Kayla dropping in to say hi again, running some errands. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Ooh, you'll be back on Saturday, Kayla? Okay. Even if just to chat. What? Animus? Animus? Really? Animus? Don't get too... The animus? The murmurs? The murmurs. I don't know where the moo-moos are coming from. She'll get flustered with me and eventually tell me what she means. Yeah, Kayla, thank you. Yes. Well, it's possible we might see Kayla back on a Saturday. Even though I will say right now, if she's listening, Saturday might be a day I don't stream anymore. And that's strictly because it'll give me free time to work on other things. Free time to pretty much have to myself, because otherwise having a 40-hour work week and working on this stuff has really, shows up quite a bit. And yes, I'm an essential worker, so my flow of work does not really stop. I'm still expected to show up every day. I'm not a nurse or anything. I work as IT in a retail store, which is enough to say that there's a lot of stuff that breaks, a lot of stuff that needs help, and then of course knowing, just being as brilliant as I am. You get asked a lot of questions anyways. But yes, I'm thinking about making that as my my actual day off from everything. I don't have to draw, but I most likely will. But I also don't have to focus on being up and ready and do a stream and focus on that. Even though, to be quite honest, like I'm starting to think like maybe it's more crucial now that people are going to be home, that, you know, maybe I just draw and let people join and chat. And not only that, but I really like just if somebody has a drawing or anything they want to discuss or go over, by all means, please bring it up, show it. I will start if there's more submissions to show off work. I will actually take an opportunity and go through and review, and we'll discuss stuff. Like if you want me to critique it, you say so, and when you submit something. I mean, I do have an email address. It's nathan.roman@boogiemanink.com. Right there, I'm saying it. If you submit something, we will consider it. We are trying to be family friendly, even though we do curse on Fridays. Fridays is the late night with ShiftyCat and BoogieMan. But like I said, Kayla's gonna be on is on break this week, and Saturday might be the day she decides coming back, which I will probably make a special occasion of being here, and we will further discuss things. Because we're always trying to build, because the big idea was to do this and go see everyone at conventions and really start, like building up to see you people out there, all you critters. But you know, COVID has kept that at a length, at a distance for now. We'll see how 2021 shapes up, and you know, again, I just want to keep streaming. I want to keep doing art, and then I'd like to do more animations, but that requires a lot of extra time. And that's part of the transition of trying not to be an essential worker at a retail store, and also then doing this, which is what I studied, is art and animation. So we'll slowly but surely work our way into doing that for you. Getting all this variation in there. Okay, let's shift my perspective. Because we're going in. I'm going to be pulling away from the ear and into the up to the ear. Actually, where does that ear start? And he starts. I'll get a deeper crease right there. And this is a semi-smooth edge that I need to develop along there. Trying to make sure I don't just do solid little color lines. I want to make sure I do several lines to make sure there's some variation, some build up to this is the transition, this is the movement of that hair, and at the same time like break up the edges so they're not solid and they're not complete, because again I have hair going in these directions, not necessarily a flat piece of flesh anywhere like humans. Even though we do have some hairs that break up, the surface, depending on how hairy you are, of course. Me being a ginger, you don't really see much of it. Oh, look at that. It's just like a smooth baby. No, no. I have hair. It's just very faint. So when the sun gets it just right, it's blinding and beautiful and gingery. Okay, so I can see that I am getting closer to my ear. Shorter hairs, build it inside this. Yes, phone, you want to make sounds? Do 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 do. There. Do do do. Alright, and there we go. I do apologize if I butcher names, by the way. It's not. As I look back, I'm not very good with them. I'm pretty terrible. If I didn't say my name on so often, I would probably mispronounce it horribly. Nathan. Hello, Nathan. No, it's Nathan. Ah, I thought it was more emphasis on the Nat and Han. No, it's not Nathan. Yeah. I do like how this is building. I definitely plan on going through and doing more passes, but I am gotta make sure it's all going different directions, because that's another thing. Is like right now I've built layers to build outward. The biggest part is when I go back through and it's like, okay, I need this to be darker than that is right now. I'm really trying to think of how the hair is going to wrap around on the inside of the ear compared to, and again, this is all going to go upward. A lot of this is where the dark variation starts coming in, because a lot of it's going to be almost kind of hidden. Is that a hair texture or is it just flat? And it's like more I take away from the actual color variation, the more it's just going to look flatter. So it's trying to keep non-flat shape, but at the same time keep the fact that some of this is going to be in a darker space. So part of the darkness too is going to also lend to me the fact that I can say that yes, oh yes, this is the direction. As this looks like, yes, I am pulling down and around. This is where I should zoom in and really get some nice understanding of direction. Same time, it's like I got this. So yes, I'm building these ears a little bit, so I have an understanding too of my expectation of what I believe. Building that edge, because this is also a part of transition, because this ear comes around and goes upward. Actually, it almost makes me want to look at, like, really study what is it, Maddie and Adrian's ears again. And go, gosh, every time I think about it, it's like, which direction does your hair go on your ears? It should go in line with your body, but at the same time it has its own direction, because well, it's a different body part, that because the hair wants to go, like when the ears are down, it goes with the actual alignment of the body, or the alignment of the body hairs, I should say, not alignment of the body, but alignment of the body hairs. So it does kind of, in a sense, is a continuation, but then there's this harsh edge of like, yeah, this is a transition. Things are moving differently, which is what I'm building, is at that darker edge, and then we can pull it out and have it meet up with the other hair. You can kind of see I'm building both sides of where this hair should meet. Right, for my own sake, and my arm, make sure my arm's not smashing into my body. Get this. We'll see how many more Lucarios I make, but these are drawings that will take hours, take days. You build the texture. The only thing you can do is just keep doing it, because you want to make these decisions faster and faster each time, and that's how you get the speed, is muscle memory. And this was, the drawing is very much like, you know, any other physically demanding profession, really, because you really get to a point where it's like it's muscle memory that tells you, when I see this, I want to make these motions, I want to make this, drag the pencil this way and that way, and get it all coexisting, because this is what I've seen and what works, and now that it's aesthetically pleasing to my eye. And really what an artist wants to do is render reality in a way that they see it. And you will see it differently, which is again one of the things I always say, is like, if you're drawing, you've already made something unique. You've already started something that's a completely great piece all on its own, because how you see things at that point is how you draw. And that's unique. That is a point of view that nobody else will have. Nobody else Well, consider you can match people, but you still have a personality behind that pencil that dictated how you saw it. So don't be afraid of that person. Don't be afraid of being you on a page. So it's really what, you know, art is more about, is just expressing you, not expressing someone else. I mean, you can admire other work. Do so, always. But do consider what it took a person to get to that point, and you too can do it. Even if you spent like 5 minutes a day and you just sat down in the park and go, I'm going to draw a 5-minute picture. Do it. You'd be amazed also too by how you see the world when you draw it. Because then you can start seeing like, well, is that how my mind sees it? Well, then let's try to get high definition here. And you start working at it. Add more detail. Get to understand the detail. You understand how it wants to move, how it works. Art is one of those lifelong things you just keep working at. Just like a writer or a businessman keeps reading, keeps trying to understand more and more of the world. You just keep doing the same thing in art. You keep looking at reference, the reality of things, and build. Build, build, build. So art is really, I guess in some ways, building your understanding of reality. How you see it, how it makes you feel. And it's another thing, is like when you draw something, you see what you highlight, you see what you find to be the most interesting. It's not the same about necessarily with other artists. They'll see something else, they'll highlight something else. In fact, I've even like seeing artist competitions where they're just like, and that's the thing, is like in a competition you're expected like one will be supreme, one will be best, but they all are unique. They're all really good work. It just, when it comes down to like a judgment, any good competition, you're playing towards who's judging, because judges will have different opinions, different ideas of what they find is renders a perfect image or a good painting. And so like that's where you know, a lot of competitions can be discouraging, because yes, you want to say they're always, you know, they're always making the best judgments and being fair. But again, when judge says I really like this piece, they're also speaking from like, I've enjoyed pieces like this in the past. I think this shows, this is what I believe to be is good artwork and great, you know, technique. There's some that are very, you know, critical. They go, I can see the amount of effort, even if it like might not look great, but like the technique used is there. So it's like, it just depends on the artist. It just depends on the artist, depend on the judges. So if you ever do competitions, you do your work by, you know, understanding who the judges are, and you can see if you can, well, challenge yourself to meet their requirements of what they believe is aesthetically pleasing. And that's really, you know, that's what you do in any competition. You study your opponent, you study, you make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into before you jump into it. Now, if you just jump into it and it's like, hey, I just want to see, you know, get my stuff judged and see what it's like, then by all means, do it. But if you take, you know, competition seriously, then you probably already think of those things and already consider it. Which, if you do artwork in competitive form, then awesome. It'd be great to talk to you, see what your opinion is too. Alright, another round. You spin me right round, baby, right round like a record, baby, right round, round, round. Ooh, I get back to the drawing screen and it does that. That happens. It's great when there's a back button to go. Nope, I don't keep that mistake. That mistake was clearly not something that should have happened. So if you are also an artist, and like I was mentioning earlier, you can always drop us some stuff. We will gladly show it, even talk about it. You can join us and chat when we do. Tell us what you were thinking, what you felt. I'd love to do like artist interviews, and this is one of the things like I'd like to say I've gotten down pat, but I do not. I do not know how it's going to work because this is one of those bigger goals in the end to work towards. Is because I have many ideas how I'd like to see this stream work out. It's a matter of getting the time to properly develop it and properly see through to that. Just again another reason to take off a Saturday so I can work on the other major ideas and how it can work out. Because I'd love to have a bunch of notes for if an artist wants to join us. Here's a bunch of things that we use when find other programs that we can see their artwork while they're working and just talk during the stream. Those are the kind of tools that I'm looking for, and that's where a lot of my research goes into. And then of course it's finding time to do that, and then some mental health care, which is usually just like play a video game for a little while, watch a movie, talk to some friends, the balancing of life. How about that? We all can relate to that, can't we? So you can see I'm doing some of the extra little short hairs here and there that I want. Trying to fill in some of these gaps too. Which is definitely something I have to go back through on the darker part, is fill in some of those portions with a bit of a different direction, as well as get some of the knots. All right. Actually, how long? It's pretty good. I do like to see that the unified chat was working. That's good. I'll keep that up because I saw both YouTube and Facebook come up. Cool. And again, thank you everyone. Always lovely to have you stop on by. And hopefully you can find some relaxing moments just by watching me build hair. And if you like Pokemon, then even better. Building a texture is quite a bit of work when you're trying to render it across the object instead of just wrapping it on it. So again, this is another thing, like I understand the 3D model portion of it. Now let's see if I can actually translate that into drawing this. I've drawn dogs, I've drawn quite a few, and I've done some work, and I use different brushes than the one I am now. So it is always a little bit. I like changing up things. Can't make it easy on myself, can I? No. Because, you know, if I don't try a different technique or try something else that in mind, then I'll never know if it actually is better or worse. So my curiosity keeps me moving around and trying to change up things. And hopefully, you know, it leads to better results or at least the same, but maybe a little bit faster. Because, you know, it's always nice to try to cut out some time. You know, because that cutting out of time means I can go do other things, other drawings. I do not see myself doing this for a feature-long film. That's where you go, nah, we do 3D models. That allows for quite a bit of ease of use of making things like this, because I could not see myself being part of a team where we are drawing Lucario and then instead of just coloring it, we have to draw hair for every frame. That wouldn't work. That would not be cost effective. It would work, it just would not be cost effective. There we go. That's a bit of a difference. Even though it might look really awesome, especially if you have several artists that, you know, all on the same par of like we all are structuring it the same way, so there's not any frame difference, because that's another thing, is getting fellow artists to work along with you that will copy the same design. Yep, I'm building layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and that's where I'm getting somewhat more even tone and less of this, oh, I can see the transition there. So you can see also doing that 30% reduction on opacity has really helped me be able to build upon this without overdoing it. Because it really does make a difference. Yeah. Ah, the wrist action. Yay! And yet, when I think about what it was just an hour ago, there was nothing here in this space. That's the whole point of building the layers. Oh, Karis. This is the part of which I knew I was gonna get to, and I was gonna go, is the ear, because now I have to make some critical choices because of how this ear is. And it does go into some darkness, so I will be blending blue and black over this. As we move further away, you can kind of start seeing some of this. And if I put this underneath, which I actually do want to render it 40. So it's hinting, it's adding a little bit to it, but like I said, I'm definitely gonna have to work on that eye. I'm stretching my arm out. It needs a moment. I knew it would. This is the point would be great if you're ambidextrous, but I have no left shoulder, so I don't really have much control over how that arm moves when it comes to drawing. I'd literally have to put this tablet on the floor and like put my stomach on a stool and then let it dangle, and I'd have a little bit more, but I'd still be using my right hand and arm to stabilize it a little bit. It'd be interesting. I could make drawings like that. I did it in life drawing class. I did it in basic and all that other stuff. So it's not impossible. It's just it requires quite a bit more of the effort. And right now I don't have the setup for it to go, yeah, I could do that real quick and easy. Matter of getting probably my cell phone more so involved in setting up. Yep, I'm building into the ear, and I feel like there's like this cavity of this first. Not necessarily that harsh, but you know, still. A point to work toward. And then of course I do have to consider the edge, which should be right about there. So I'm building a little bit longer hairs than I'm trying to get the curve with just some underlying color. And then build that hair in. And then we got multiple directions. I have to consider of where the ear, because like, does the ear go this way and then go suddenly upward? Like, is that the part, you know, part in that back, which is going to be relatively darker. At the same time, like, I could do a transition between them, which I think I'm going to try to do more so, is like do this curve right here. So then I have one direction where it's going back in, and then the next one where it's curved along that edge. This is definitely a darker portion, which I'm trying to make sure I don't lose certain details, but I feel like it's gonna blend weird if I don't. But this is the portion of which I was pretty much going like, this is where the moment of truth is. What am I doing with the rest of this hair? Because this ear, this is a huge transition. Now, one of the things I plan on doing and going through is actually, because I have the brush set to 7.5. One thing I can definitely go in here and do is shrink it, and then make some really interesting variation and finer detail. Because this is also a first pass. This is not a huge amount of detail. This is quite a bit of detail, but this is not the final pass of detail. So there's definitely going through and thickening up, I guess, in a sense, the hair by making finer lines. And those finer lines will definitely give more definitive aspects of where this hair is going, what direction it really is. At the same time, be more than likely a time when I'm doing some of the highlights and everything. Yeah, all right. Oh, again, my arm is getting tired. This is, raise above my head, get some of the blood out of it, because I think that's part of my muscles are getting a little tense. Stretch. Hence another reason why, you know, do exercise before you start. And I do everything with my right arm, so it's also another big thing. It's like, yeah, I do baby my left, but you know, when you don't have a left shoulder, you really try to make sure the right hand helps and compensates. This isn't even my final form. Yeah, I kept thinking that ever since I said I'm going to go back through with a smaller brush, and that will define quite a bit of detail. Trying to get rid of some of the unevenness. One of my favorite things, though, doing 3D modeling was always making the textures, really. Because you really got to think three-dimensionally while you're drawing two-dimensionally. You're drawing something flat that's going to translate into something that's going to have shape and movement. And trying to make a single texture for a character was kind of difficult, because you're going, alright, well, it was difficult and easy, because there's one aspect that made a lot of it easier, is that when you have the mesh and you see the movement of the lines from the mesh, you can do quite a bit with that data. And then remembering, okay, how did we unwrap the head? How did we unwrap the arms? And you can see then that contour line that you see in the texture going, okay, this is from the back of the arm, and it wraps around across the, the side, the right side of it towards the front, and then into the back where it then should meet up, because it's a single line, but that line is continuous. Because that line this is where I decided to cut the seam, is right down the back of the arm, and I unwrapped it so it can lay flat in this direction. So unwrapping is pretty intense in its own way. Because you're really going, I'm trying to remind myself and tell myself, this is the direction, this is the movement of this mesh, which is then also telling you the movement of the skin, which underlyingly tells you the movement of where the muscles are, where the bone structure is. So you really get into that thought structure suddenly, and you're going, okay, this is the movement, this is the idea, this is how I make this character come to life, just through its texture. And a lot of times it's one of those unsung heroes. The texture artist sits there and does that work, so you don't actually feel like you're being pulled out of the whole thing. Because again, that's in the end, that's really what animation is trying to do. Is one, it allows you to tell a story, but most of all, it's also trying not to make you feel like it's out of place, like it belongs in this world. It has weight, has movement, it works off the same physics as we understand and know, And if those things that are, there's things that are always going to push that to its limit. But we still have some understanding. It still faces reality in a sense that we all know. Okay, zoom out because again, we can see the structure of the ear that I'm building now. Oh. He's getting to that hour and a half mark. Whew. I really should probably just give myself a good 10-minute break from actually moving this, because this 60 seconds is not doing everything. But at the same time, I'm building muscle. Why are you doing that to me? It's because I didn't push on the other screen, that's why. I know. Wow, phone, you keep messaging, making sound. Okay. Now I'm trying to imagine how much of this edge is actually supposed to be there compared to just being an interesting transition. Because this is, again, where I'm trying to figure out the best direction to build the rest of this. Is that there is this kind of scoop. It's in the back of the ear, where the hair is coming back toward it, and then moving up. Moving on up. Mm-hmm. Which then this back of the ear is always translating this direction. Which I have to keep in mind, this is mainly the direction I want to keep this hair going. I'm toughing through this. I can get this. I can do it. It's not like my arm's bleeding. I don't think you can internally bleed from doing this, right? I don't think you can. No, I'm just whining. It's all the acids in the muscle that build up. And they're just pleading with me and saying, no, you're doing this, you're destroying us. Like, yeah, I'm destroying you so I can make you better. Typically working a piece like this does, you should take breaks. Don't be like me. Don't tough your way through it. Take a moment. I'm just used to doing this to my arm a lot. Just one more rep, that kind of stuff, you know. All those little things. Yeah, go in that direction, then pull it around this direction. Trying to use hair to do me a favor about saying which direction these are going. And they're kind of counteracting with one another. One wants to go this direction, the other one wants to go the other. And kind of trying to make them blend and work with one another. Work with me! Work with me here, hair. Come on. Just keep building, just keep building, just keep building, building. Just keep building your hair texture, just keep building your hair texture. Again, this is going to be particularly darker because it's the back. So you got quite a bit more bushes of hair building up. I'm already kind of working in the, yeah, this is in a darker portion of the ear, the body, so therefore it's going to be quite a bit darker. At the same time, like, I'm debating on how I want to do the shadow, because I could always do it where I take in the black and I just black and then change the opacity over it and I go, look at that variation, and then just break up the edge with something like the palette tool in the paint, and then just that would also then add that variation that it's not a clean edge, you know, not all these hairs are pitch black. There's some that are capturing a little bit lighter, you know, that kind of junk. Make it all aesthetic. Aesthetic. It's aesthetics. Building this hair. Keep building this hair. We'll get there. Like I said, if you popped in when I first started and now you're taking another look now at this, you can see quite a bit of the transition that's occurred. Yeah, I zoomed in a bit further. There we go. There we go. Yeah, yeah. You know, I hope everyone's enjoying their day. It's nice. It is beautiful outside in Michigan. It is still really cold, but it's still, you know, the sun's out. It looks great. You just might freeze off your nose a little bit if you don't go out well prepared for it. That is Michigan Sun Free. It is very misleading. You'd think you'd be warm underneath its shine, but it is just going, nah, that is bitter cold out there. That is what you were met with. The bitterness of cold. The bitterest of cold. Yeah, look at that. Curl it up. I'm trying to make this curved edge as really as best I can. And that's really... So I'm using the mistake I have here and utilizing it and to help say that, yeah, this portion is particularly darker than a lot. And this is where I'm coming at it. It's like these start curling upward. Because that's where the hair is coming from, this direction down in a sense, or actually going back and up. So it's all flowing in this direction. Just a matter of keeping it going. Da da da. Da da da. Da da da. So you can see I am layer after layer. There's one pass. Then go over it again a little bit longer. Trying to make sure I get this movement around the edge working. And then it just really shifts upwards. So it's really, the strand of this goes, that's the direction I'm building. But I'm doing it with every short pass. As you can see, that's kind of what I want to build as I'm doing it. Not that harsh with gotta build the layers up. Yay. Really? This has been a day of hiccups. I had hiccups earlier. I have hiccups again now. I had hiccups like when I didn't even have anything to drink when I first woke up, and it's like, what are you doing to me? Why are you here? I don't even have water to drink to help get rid of you. You're just attacking me from every angle now. Yeah, I think hiccups have it out for me. I really do. One of these days I'm just gonna hiccup and it won't stop. It'll just be chronic and it'll be a problem because then it'll drive me insane. Hiccups, why do you do this to me? My arm is in a stage of serenity that it's just stopped screaming. It's like, you don't want to listen to me anymore, so I'm just gonna, it's just pure serenity of pain. No, I'm kidding. But if you're building this and you're doing this and you feel your arm is stressing, do not push yourself, please. Take breaks. Do them more often than I do. Unless you're ginger, then I strongly suggest you can tough through. You can get it. If you're not, well then, be gentle on yourself. Yeah, I'm harder on other gingers, yes. So as you can see, I am pretty much leaving this to be, this should be the darkest corner. Even pulling here to go a bit of the other direction, like away from the edge of the here. And that's part of what I need to do is also curve things away. And you can do that by simply changing direction of the hair underneath it. So you got hair going one way, you got hair going another way, and that is expected. Hair is like an untamed beast in its own way. And when I was doing this Stella Vulpes image, that was me actually almost doing kind of a reverse, where I would put this in and then I use the palette knife to pull it out. So I go, this is where I want the harshest color, and then I just want hair to come out of that and hint towards it, because I had a lot of like celestial body underneath it, and I wanted it to overlap and say, no, it is hairy, it's just got this, like in its deep dark portions of hair you can see like stars and such. And I thought that I was like, this is the interesting part about this particular drawing. This is what I'm working at getting to be seen. And you know, for the most part I was doing really well with it. It's one of those pieces I said I'm putting down and I will come back to later, because it was really getting to a point where I was like, I need time to think, to do other things. So like by doing this is another means of me going, I'm studying something else, I'm doing a little bit thing, but I'm still considering that other drawing that I was working on quite a bit, because this is another stage of it. This is the opposite of what I was doing with that piece. But it still works. So as you can see, I'm getting kind of a different direction going on. Hair going in that direction, and then I got hair coming down this. Just another reason to turn it. Yelp, yelp, yelp. Yes. Yes. Ooh. Alright, let's see how much I can get done in another 5 minutes, and then that is a call of the stream for today. Because I also have to go download this video, organize it, and get it with the rest. Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to necessarily speed myself up, because I'm not going to finish this. There's no reason to break my habit of what I'm doing just to get a little bit further, and also get to a point where I go, I'm probably just going to destroy everything I just did. Again, I am taking a moment to even out some things. Alright, let's build another layer on top of that then. Might actually need to turn this up just so I can keep a better idea of where that edge is. Because now I'm working in a darker space, it's like, oh, I can see it. Yeah, I can. So yes, I'm pulling. You can almost see every line a little bit nicer, and you can see where some of the highlights are going to go in, and the darker portions of where it's going to remain. And yes, I have a different direction going. Even if I have two areas that are meeting up, that are kind of crisscrossing and overlapping of how they want to be told. What story, what direction does this take? And I'm definitely going to have to get this edge to where it's wrapped around like the other way. But kind of building the interior, and I'm making a lot longer lines than I normally would be to get, so I feel there's a little bit longer hair, a little bit, because these are more laid down than the rest of the bodies here. Okay. Again, I'll go over and smaller lines And those will be the more defining direction. So I have multiples kind of showing a direction and then going, this is the major shift. This is the direction of where it actually is going. Again. Trying to work with my arm here. Get to a darker portion. So I'm already kind of building, I guess, that darker aspect, which I will, again, I definitely need to go in with a darker blue and a smaller, finer brush and really give more definition to some of this. And that's the next pass, because I won't need to make as many lines. It'll be more selective, more... I'll already have defined the edge of which, or the direction of which a lot of this hair moves. And then I'll just be going through and adding that second layer of detail to it. So again, stages, working in stages. Yay, stages, working on layers. Alright, let's flip it back. So look at Lucario's head there. Then pull it back out. So you can kind of see what we got going on. Make sure I hit save. But as you can see, when I zoom out, I like a lot of the hair, and it's like when I get to the detail portion of it with the finer lines and different color variations, it'll start coming together a lot more. Oh, that was a workout. About 2 hours worth of just straight up drawing like that. I need to give this arm a bit of rest. And thank you, Sauraj Yotai XS, for coming and watching. I think I may have gotten it. It's taken quite a while to like formulate the word in my head. But Sauraj Yotai XS. And then thank you, Kayla. It'd be awesome to see you on Saturday. And also Josh. Josh! Oops, I'm not breaking stuff. Oh, yes. There we go. Alright. Transition. We're finishing up. I'll keep it short and simple. Let you guys get to a wonderful, beautiful day. So this is the Boogeyman dancing on out of here. I'll catch you critters later, and we will be back on Friday, 6 p.m. I might get a little drinking. Catch you